Hello everybody, and we are live. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Amanda. I'm the business manager at Sellers Funding. Today with us, we have Eric Silvera, a business development manager here at Sellers Funding, and we also have Yoni Mazer, co-founder and CGO at Gatita. So we're super excited. I know you know who we are, but just to cover the basics, Sellers Funding is a digital financial platform empowering growth for e-commerce businesses. Gatita is a global leader in Amazon FBA auditing and reimbursements. Like I said, we're sure you've heard of us, but for more information on Sellers Funding and Gatita, we've dropped some really helpful links for you guys in the chat to learn more. Okay. While you guys take a look there, please be sure to use your chat function. We can see it. We want you guys to send your questions in. We are going to address them at the end of the show. So anything that pops up that you have a question about, don't be shy. We're here for you. We're here for you, as you know. So take a look at those links. If you want to screenshot it, you can. And talk to us. We're here for you guys. So let's jump in. New year, new strategy, 3 ways to achieve growth in 2022. Like I mentioned, here we are, the team, the dream team, ready to rock live today. What we're going to cover today: 2021 e-commerce key learnings, the effects of COVID on global logistics, what it takes to differentiate your business from the competition, and how to ensure maximum recovery and avoid financial discrepancies. All really important stuff. I know you guys are going to love it. So, what are the 3 ways we're going to achieve growth this coming year? Address logistics and supply chain issues. You're going to build your inventory. You're going to diversify that inventory. It's really important to have a good mix there. You guys know what your clients like and your customers like. So make sure that that inventory is diversified and identify backup suppliers. We all know the situation that's happening with the supply chain. So having a backup is always a safe bet. Staying in the competition using the right solutions. So you're going to create the omni-channel experience. You're going to grow inside and outside of Amazon. And very, very important, focus on customer experience. A good experience makes you have return customers, but also helps you with word of mouth, right? Ensure the maximum recovery and avoid financial discrepancies. Use auditing and reimbursements to avoid losing money. Key stuff, guys. So we've all been here. We've all been living through it. We know it hasn't been an easy ride. How has e-commerce changed since COVID?
So, a couple of really key trends here. Obviously, everyone knows e-commerce is growing. Everyone's at home, they're ordering more online. What we're really seeing is that everything's kind of accelerated. So, since we've kind of switched into the new normal with COVID, sales are expected to surpass $1 trillion in 2022, which is really, shifting all of those expectations forward from pre-COVID before any of this was on our radar. Consumers' preferences for digital shopping is going to remain. So we saw that shift to online. There's a little bit of a pushback as things get reopened, but we're still seeing a lot of growth in e-commerce and online shopping, and consumers are kind of showing that that's really where they want to remain or where they want to stay. We're also seeing omnichannel being kind of what's growing the most right now. So initially, we had a rapid push. Everyone just wanted to get on Amazon. Everyone wanted to get listed, get online, start generating income that was separate from brick and mortar, whether that be brands, individual sellers, small businesses. Now people are trying to diversify. So you're seeing a real shift. Brands are now not just looking at only Amazon, only Shopify, only BigCommerce. They're actually expanding. They're trying to get a little bit more spread out and diversify the way that they're actually interacting with their customers. And then we're also seeing new government financial regulations. So right now in the EU, there's actually some financial regulations being passed in France and UK. You're also seeing some regulations being passed in the US. So really important to stay on top of all of that, with whether you're working with your accounting firm, someone maybe like a VASC in the EU, UK, or someone in the US. But really the numbers kind of speak for themselves. $1 trillion by 2022 is a huge number. If we went back to 2019, I think that's a little bit larger than what anyone really had on their radar.
Yeah, all great points. Eric, when you come on live next, get a little closer to the mic so we could hear you a little better. You sounded a little far away. Amazon announcements. All right, these just went live. Yoni, do you want to tackle this?
Yes. So hi everybody. Thank you everybody for having me today. As the Sellers Funding team, it's a privilege and an honor. So hopefully this will be valuable for everyone. Yeah. So quick announcement from the marketplace. It actually took effect yesterday, January 18th. Was a day where inflation has kicked in internally with for Amazon FBA sellers, anyone who use the Amazon fulfillment network. So it's kind of small here, but the chart, you'll see the changes of the fees, the fee structures, and just to keep it simple, there's about 10% increase, a bump in cost of fulfillment. So it's very small, but if you see like for example, just to take it to illustrate. The fulfillment fee per unit has spiked up from 270 for 6 ounce or less product, item, all the way up to 292. So 22 cent increase, which divided by 270, it's about 10% bump, and it's kind of the idea across the board. So as of yesterday, you're all paying more, about 10% more for every time you sold a unit. Because what happens is when you sell a unit, Amazon picks it from the bin, packages it in a box, ships it out, and they charge you a fulfillment fee. So that fee has increased by about 10% across the board, with all the tiers. It works with winning dimension tiers. So that's kind of a quick announcement. So be aware of that. If you need to update your cost structures, your profit margins and stuff like that, be attentive to that, because the changes here as of yesterday. So that's kind of a quick announcement, so everybody's aware. I think inflation also plays a little bit of a theme here, so this is a point to consider. And now we can move to the next one, Amanda.
Great. Really awesome information. More Amazon announcements.
Okay, so this next announcement actually is more of relief. So the IPI thresholds have been updated. Inventory Performance Index (IPI). The new limit is for storage is 400. It used to be higher. You had to be, I think, around 600. Now it's 400. So you can, with the lower score, you can basically send more units to FBA, and also when Amazon storages it, you'll pay less fees. Because let's say your score was 450, but the threshold was 600, you were paying a lot of fees to keep it in storage. But now that the benchmark has went down to 400 and you're doing 450 still, you're paying less in fees. So that's kind of the new announcement. So on the one hand, the first announcement, you're paying more, but the second announcement, you're probably going to be paying less if you have a good score. If you always had a good score, you're good. But if you're kind of stuck in between the thresholds, so this is a better thing for you. So that's kind of an announcement. It took effective. It became effective on January 1st. So hopefully that's kind of on the good side news.
Great. So this is affecting all of our Amazon sellers. Becoming more inclusive is great. That makes it a lot easier for you guys to get your products out there to your customers. So this is great. So we have a little bit of both sides happening here. All right. So what are some of the challenges shaping the e-commerce industry in 2022? We know there's lots of things going on. So let's get into the specifics. We've got supply chain issues, as we know. It's haunting everyone. This is like the boogeyman of e-commerce right now, is the supply chain. So if you guys want to go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, so obviously there's product shortages across the board. If you're a consumer in the US, you've probably noticed this. A lot of things just out of stock, kind of getting periodic shortages. If you're buying your favorite food, maybe some flavors are in, some flavors aren't. Just shelves are looking a little bit more bare than they usually are. There's a lot of reasons for that. So of course you also have supply and manufacturing shortages, but then you also have the rise in freight costs, and you actually have shipping being a lot more difficult than it used to be and a lot more expensive. So a lot of manufacturers, a lot of brands, products, people are consolidating a lot more. So you're seeing fewer shipments over time. You're seeing more immediate large stocks. You're also seeing a lot of focus on getting products shipped on time, because not only is there a shortage on the actual shipping because of the increased costs, but you're seeing delays at ports. You're seeing delays in actual freight. So once something comes in overseas off of a ship, it's got to be driven. So you're seeing a shortage of drivers. COVID's just really kind of thrown a wrench in the entire thing. So there's a lot of different ways that you can address these supply chain issues. And unfortunately, the really obvious answer is to kind of throw money at it. So everything has gotten more expensive. At the end of the day, the margins are going to decrease. But what's really going to set aside you from your competition is whether or not you're able to work over this hurdle. So if you can't pay, these fees, and if your margin, if you're not willing to take a hit on that margin, unfortunately, sometimes you're going to lose that battle. So working capital is going to give you the funding that you need to actually grow your business despite the timing challenges. Basically, if you're able to pay a little bit increased cost in shipping right now and you're able to weather that storm, your competitors might not be able to. So when you stay in stock, that's going to get your product listings actually pushed up. You're going to basically have an advantage in Amazon that's going to snowball and give you that long-term strength when you're selling. If you're actually manufacturing your product or you're working with suppliers, things like invoice factoring, or even if you're selling on Amazon, the daily advance is really it's not a loan. It's basically taking advantage of the money that you already have. much cheaper and lower cost. So it doesn't eat into your margins as much, but it really helps with the cash flow. So again, you can actually take that money and funnel it back into new products, getting your products back in stock. But you also have the advantage of taking that and pushing it to something like PPC, getting offsite advertisement and kind of driving sales to whatever platform you're using, whether that's Amazon, Shopify, BigCommerce, any of these main stores. And again, just being able to weather the storm and kind of creep up in these product listings by making sure your products are there in front of customers, available to be sold. That's really where your bread and butter is going to be as far as growing this year. You also, of course, can take advantage of cost savings. So being able to build up inventory ahead of time and make bulk orders, being able to diversify your inventory, maybe specific products that you have. There's a chip shortage and you make electronics, but you kind of pivot to something that's a little bit less electronic. You can identify backup suppliers. And of course, sourcing takes time and it costs money, but you can also save money by working with preferred shipping partners. Shipware in the US is really great. If you're shipping via FedEx, USPS, UPS, pretty much any of these main suppliers, they can actually help negotiate down shipping rates and kind of get you where you want to be, which is going to help you get a little bit more of your margins back. If you're working internationally, maybe getting your products from China, a company like eLogistic really is going to do wonders because they're going to really streamline the whole process for you with your manufacturers. Sometimes it can be a little bit chaotic getting things in, especially now with the way the ports and driving and everything is. eLogistic kind of takes care of everything. So it's really good to just make sure that you're focused on doing what you do best, which is creating your product, selling, creating that brand. And sometimes it's good to kind of hand things off to someone who knows the systems a little bit better, whether that be Shipware, eLogistic, just working with providers in general outside of the supply chain can save you, a lot of time and a lot of headaches.
Yeah, I mean, just like in any part of business, choosing the right partners for you is really what's going to help you scale and grow. Um, and it doesn't even have to be a plug for us. It is, it's just a fact of business, right? And then another important point to make is, yes, throwing money at it is going to help because it's going to help you get ahead of your competition, like Eric mentioned, right? But also when you are able to partner with the right people who can help you get that capital and help you get that inventory, you might be able to take advantage of economies of scale, right? You might be able to build up that inventory because you're not sure how long it's going to take to get here, keep you in that safe zone for a little bit longer, but maybe your unit costs might go down. And so there's going to be this balance in what your costs look like, and there are ways to recover that margin. So that's great. That's really helpful. And then, of course, there's a change in logistics.
Yep. So I'll take this one. Yeah. So this is kind of a free tool that's available for you guys, to use. It every week it updates the. This is an index that keeps track of all the cost of shipping a container from Asia into the United States. You can just visit gatita.com/FBAX. You see it on the left side, and then you'll see how on the chart at the early beginning before the pandemic, the price to ship a container was around, let's say, 7,000, and then it spiked all the way up to, like, let's say 27,000. Then it started to calm down again, right? And now it's on the rise again. So that's kind of the momentum where it's all going. So if we thought, it's gonna go all the way back down to the cost structures for shipping containers from Asia into the U.S. Um, it was starting to get there, but now it's kind of picking up again. It might be because of the Omicron effect. Ports in China are shutting down, and factories are shutting down and stuff like that. So it's creating these new bottlenecks again. So this is a free tool you guys can always use and check into to see what's going on with the pricing of containers and shipping, because the only thing that's not going to change is the change itself. So this is another kind of available tool for you guys to consider, to keep in track on the whole craziness that's going on with global logistics.
That's great. Okay, we love free tools. We love tools. We love things that are going to help us be educated and know. And if they're free, it's even better. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this link into the chat right now as well. That way you guys can click it easy. That way you can save it right now as a bookmark. This is huge. This is going to be a super helpful tool for you guys. Understanding what things are costing you is key for succeeding in your business. You'd be surprised, why some small businesses fail is because they're not really aware of what their costs are. So being aware in these changes and remaining up to date with tools like these that you can get on Gatita, it's really going to help you get ahead. So you guys can see it there in the chat. Again, I encourage everybody to ask any question that you may have as it comes up. We're here for you guys. We want to answer those questions. We're here to give you the tools you need to be bigger, better, and more amazing than you've ever been, but you are so capable of being. So let's go ahead and keep moving. The FBA Recovery Overview. Yoni, take it away.
Yeah, so I I just want to kind of calibrate something. So right now, until now, we talked about logistics. This is just to get your inventory into the game, into Amazon. This is just the sourcing part of it. Huge headache on its own merit. We just touched it. But now, when your products finally get delivered, your inventory gets delivered to Amazon's fulfillment center or centers, um, there's another new headache you got to be aware of. Okay, and this is basically Amazon FBA auditing. Okay, Amazon FBA auditing and reimbursements, and this is kind of the overview of the name of the game. These are the kind of the main points you should be aware of because there's expiration dates to each one, right? To each element. So I'll start with the first one. It's the most basic one. It's the FBA inbound shipments. Okay, what does that mean? When you ship your product to FBA, let's say Amanda, you're an Amazon seller, you shipped 1,000 units to Amazon's fulfillment center. Amazon, instead of receiving 1,000 units, they only receive 990 units, so 10 units are missing. That's an FBA inbound shipment discrepancy. So you have 6 months from the moment the shipment got delivered to reconcile that. Because if you don't, after 6 months, your eligibility to get reimbursements for the lost 10 units are gone forever. Okay, so that's very important for the sellers to know that there's a sand clock, right? The moment the inventory hits the warehouse, the sand clock turns, and you got 6 months to reconcile the FBA shipments. That's the first overview component. Later on during the slides, I'm going to actually touch an example of how to do this. So anybody here that's participating today will be able to take actions, real actions after this webinar, and actually make money because of it. So hopefully that will be helpful. Okay, the second component, as you guys can see on the list, is lost and damaged units. Okay, lost and damaged units. Give me 1 second here. I'm just my notifications are running wild. You guys can't hear, but I can on my headset. Sorry. I think Amanda gave me a heads up before that, but I didn't realize that I can hit my headset. Okay, okay. Lost and damaged units. You got 18 months to reconcile that. So that's a bit more generous on Amazon's side. But what does it mean, lost and damaged units? I'm gonna get more into that example in the next slides. But high level, once your inventory is already inside Amazon centers, inside the warehouse, your units can get lost or damaged. Okay, also between the warehouses. Sometimes Amazon might shift your products from Kentucky to Florida, where sellers funding is, or from Florida to New Jersey, where I am. They can do that. You know, some of your units can get lost or damaged. Also from Amazon's fulfillment centers to the consumers when the orders come in, consumers back to Amazon with all the returns, and also if you do removal orders. So that kind of bodies the next three components here: lost, damaged units, FBA customer refunds, right, and FBA removal orders. That's when you take your inventory out of Amazon. So anything got lost or damaged, there's an 18 months to reconcile all these components and get a recovery for that or reimbursement. So that leads us to the final one on the bottom, weight and dimension fees. It goes back to the fulfillment fees that we touched earlier. Remember how it now increased 10%, right, across the board? So it could be that Amazon is overcharging you. Why? Let's say this is your item, this is your unit. It's 4 ounces. This is a phone cover, right? Nice phone cover. It's 4 ounces and 4 inches. So they're supposed to charge you only 292. Now we saw that the new fee is 292 to pick and pack it right from the bin and ship it out. But instead, they have the wrong information, the wrong data. They think this item is 100 pounds and 100 inches. So instead of charging you 292, they're charging you $10. So they're overcharging you almost, more than $7 every time you sold the unit. You sold 1,000 units, that's $7,000, that you overpaid. So here you got 3 months to get a recovery. So in the past 3 months, you overpaid 7,000, you'll get that back. But let's say over the year you overpaid 100 grand, and the last 3 months you only overpaid 30 grand. You'll get 30 grand. The other 70 grand is gone forever. So that's the name of the game with weight and dimension fees when they overcharge you. So that's kind of the overview of the name of the game of Amazon FBA auditing. So let's go to the next slide and kind of dive deeper into the mix and
That's
see what we
amazing.
got.
Really, really quick, before we dive into the next slide, we got a question from Mujahid Islam. He says, or she says, first of all, thank you for letting us in a very informative webinar. Gatita has helped us gain almost $2,000 from missing inventory. I have a question regarding customer refund issue. If in non-returnable products, when customer says product was not as per their expectation, Amazon did not reimburse us, is there any way to deal with that?
We gotta understand the data a bit more, but if it's a non-refundable item, I'm not sure what that means. That needs to be defined. You can just email me. I'm gonna have my email at the last slide so we can dive into that.
Okay,
I gotta define that. If I don't want to just answer if it's not really fully defined, because
cool.
if it's not refundable and there's no eligibility to get reimbursement, so the game over. But I don't want to give a wrong answer here. So thank you for
Okay,
the
great.
question. We'll follow up on that.
Perfect. So you guys know the contact information for Yoni will be at the end. So if there's any question that's very specific like this one, we want to hear them. We want to get them for sure. Be sure to pay attention towards the end of the presentation where you'll get personal contact info so you guys can discuss it in more detail. It's a great point. Not everything is so general that you could answer it like this. So let's make sure we get the right information over to this very happy client from Gatita. Congrats. That's great.
Okay, actually, I dropped in my personal email, so you can hit me up, Mujahid. I'll be happy to, deal with that on one-on-one with you. Okay, so let's go to the next slide here. This is actually, now we're diving to the mix. This is showing you how to actually do it yourself. Once again, the resolution may be a little too small, but the idea is very, is what matters. So when you want to reconcile your Amazon FBA shipments, you got to go to Amazon Sell Essential. You go to Inventory, Manage FBA Shipments, and on the upper side of this slide, you'll see number one. You'll see these two red dots. It's too small to see, but on the dot on the left, or the square, the red square on the left, it says 1,000 units, and the square on the right says 990. So that's kind of where you can see that there's a discrepancy. Then on the left side area, you can see the blue line. You can just click that, and that will take you into the shipment. And once you're in the shipment, this is going to show you, this is more enlarged. So you see area number 2. You see it says shipped 1,000, located 190, discrepancy -10. Okay, so all you got to do is action required. You do research, and then you choose that option. And once you do, it's going to show you that you submitted a case, and it's going to give you a case ID. That's it. That's how you reconcile your Amazon FBA shipment. And when you find a discrepancy, when you open a case, Amazon might ask you for documentation. It could be a proof of delivery, a bill of lading, a proof of purchase, invoices. So be attentive to that. But if they don't, you're going to get the reimbursement. If they do, make sure you give them that, and then they'll give you the reimbursement. So when you're done with this presentation and you never audited your account, make sure to check all your shipment logs. And if there are any open discrepancies in the past 6 months, you're eligible to get a reimbursement. Okay, so look into that. Hopefully that's helpful. Let's move to the next slide and the next example. Okay, so now this is when I'll be honest with you. The first example was entry level. This is when things become a bit more advanced. Let's put it this way. I'm just gonna illustrate and explain the logic here. The logic is what matters. But then you guys are gonna have to do your own magic on Excel. This is when you gotta use Excel to your benefit, and you have to be kind of a little bit of a wizard. So let me explain the formula and the logic, and hopefully that will be beneficial. Now, this is for any unit that got lost to damage in the past 18 months. So Amazon, this is from Sell Essential. Amazon tells you have a claim window of about 18 months to, before you can, you have 18 months to open a claim. But they tell you before you submit a claim, make sure to download these three reports. Right? It's kind of blue. It's hard to read, but I'm gonna read it for you. The first one is inventory adjustment report. That's the first file that you got to download, right? Report. The second one is manage FBA inventory report. That's the second one. And the third one is reimbursement report. So basically, is Amazon telling you download these 3 reports, and you got to look into each one of them to see if you're eligible to open a case, okay? Before you submit your claim. So the first report you're going to download, which is the inventory adjustment report, that's the report you're going to find all the lost units, for example, right? You're going to be able to filter, oh, I lost all these units. The second report is going to tell you, manage FBA inventory report. They're telling you, look in the second report to see if those units were found. So first report, lost units. Second report, found. If they're found, no harm done. Everybody's good to go. If they're not found, you have to bounce to the third report. The third report is reimbursement report. So you got to check if they were lost, not found. If they got reimbursed, no problem. If they did not get reimbursed, then you're eligible to open a case. That's the logic. It's like it's like a distillery. You got to make whiskey. You got to distill the data. That's kind of the name of the game of how it works. So you grab all these reports, and if everything checks out and everything is good, you don't touch it. You don't submit a claim. But if still you have a deficit after all that, that's when you submit a claim. So once again, the logic is very important. When you download these reports, you're gonna have to kind of do all the filtering and all the formulas. But hopefully that's on the logic level, it's helpful. Once again, if this is too much of a headache, you never heard of this is all like very foreign to you, there's solutions out there that help with this. It happens to be that Gatita were one of them. So we'll be happy to assist anybody that kind of wants. But this is very important for you guys to do because that's money. This is your money that you're owed for any lost or damaged inventory. And it's up to you to reconcile it and get what's yours. And if you don't do it, it's just going to expire. You're going to lose that opportunity forever.
Yeah, as business owners, no one's in a position to leave money on the table, especially with all the difficulties that everyone's dealing with now, right?
100%.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. So now I want to touch a case study because this will segue into the world of the fees, Amazon fees, and the overcharge of fees. So this is a case study of a $5 million seller. How do we know? They sold 219,000 in 2 weeks times 2, which is 440,000 a month times 12. It's about 12 million a year. So you have this beautiful blue area where that's money coming into your Amazon account, and then we have the not so fun area, the red area where money is coming out of your Amazon account, right? So you'll see over there, the big chunky one says Amazon fees. So I'm here to tell you that in this Amazon fees, FBA fees are hiding in there. Okay, and I wrote it's fees type A. So if your fees type A pulls up to the chart, and you'll see that fees type A are $43,000. Okay, which is about 20% from all the sales. So $43,000 in fees type A are the pick and pack fees. Remember, I told you when Amazon picks your unit from the bin, they package it in a box to ship it out. They charge you a pick and pack fee or fulfillment fee. It shows you that in this case study, it's about 20% from every dollar generated revenue, which is very impactful. Okay, so the mission of this case study is for you to recognize that the pick and pack fees and FBA fulfillment fees are the king of all fees related to FBA. They have a tremendous impact. So let's move to the next slide and do a quick summary here. Okay, so you'll see fees, FBA fees type A, which is the pick and pack is 19.7. Then you have the rest of the FBA fees. It could be restocking fees, refund fees, all the other stuff. Don't forget, you still have the Amazon selling fees, which typically is 15%. And then you put it all together, 35% of all the seller's revenue are on Amazon fees. So every dollar that's generated, 35 cents stays with Amazon, 65 cents goes back to the seller. And it's burning through the margin. So if you're doing $5 million a year, that's $1.75 million annually paid to Amazon in fees. So your mission is to recognize where the fees are, what is the amount of fees you're paying or the rate, and do whatever is in your power to reduce that. Because if you're going to reduce this fee structure from 35% to 34% or 32%, it's going to be huge impact on your bottom line, on your profitability. Now, this is the world of optimizing your FBA, performance, right? This is maybe a kind of a new world for you guys, because there's another world which is a huge world where many sellers, if not all the sellers, are focused on. If you notice, there's a notice up there with the asterisk. PPC spend adds more Amazon fees, meaning the PPC, everybody's focused on PPC, how to reduce my advertising costs, how to reduce my advertising costs, my A costs from 30% to 25%. That's right. That's an important game. That's a different universe. So there's two universes in Amazon: how to optimize your spending so you spend the least and get the most. Same thing with FBA fees. So that's kind of where I'm trying to grab your attention to realize there's another universe that you have to know and be familiarized and optimize it, because there's a lot of opportunity to optimize and then boost your margins. So let's move on to the next slide.
What does it take to differentiate your business from the competition? I mean, this is the secret sauce. This is the golden question. This is what everybody is wanting to know, right? It's a big pond with a lots of big and little fish, and it depends on what size fish you want to be, right? So let's go ahead, grow your business to stay in business.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of an obvious metaphor, right? Businesses really do operate entirely like trees. You have everything that you see on the top, your bark, your branches, your leaves, everything's very beautiful. And that's ultimately the product that you want to put in front of customers, the product customers are going to use, where they're going to get their fruit, things like that. But you're really running and you're operating with roots. So all of these roots, everything that people don't see, everything in the background, that's really what's going to enable your business to grow. That's what's going to get you the most productive side of your business. And that's going to really encompass a lot of things. So your logistics, your suppliers, where you're actually getting your product from, the customer service you're providing, the tools that you're enabling. So the actual platform that you're on, if you're using, live chat, SMS services, all of this stuff is really supporting and holding up your business. The unfortunate side is a lot of this stuff can be considered sunken cost. So growing your roots is usually going to cost you time and or money. Sometimes getting these things set up, it's a one-time cost. Sometimes it's a recurring cost, and you don't always see the returns right away. The returns can be long-term. Sometimes the roots can actually be cost saving. So going with something like Getita to get you these refunds and reimbursements, it's not going to cost you anything up front. It is a tool that you're going to utilize. It takes a little bit of time, but it's actually going to sink your costs rather than be a sunken cost. So you're actually going to get money back from Amazon. You're going to increase your margins. So it's really important to kind of balance and weigh all of those things out. Really great statistic. 29% of small businesses that failed said that they did so because they ran out of cash. And 67% of small business owners ultimately have to use personal funds to deal with whatever financial crisis they're facing. It's kind of the unfortunate truth of being a business owner, right? You're not a business owner unless you have skin in the game. So it's really just something you're going to have to face and deal with. Being able to utilize working capital in taking out loans and knowing when it's more cost effective to utilize money that's not directly yours is going to be very important to actually running and building your business. Some routes are going to be more expensive than more important than others. So you always want to also kind of weigh that out. What's the actual return on what you're getting? Is it something like branding where you're going to completely redesign your packaging? So maybe smaller packaging where you're saving on cost, but it's also a more attractive label, so you can actually build your product pages better and increase sales that way. There's something like customer experience where you're going to be able to differentiate customers. You have a confusing product maybe that you need people to kind of hold your hand through the process. Obviously, things like that, you're going to have to figure it out. It's not going to be the same for every store, every product, every brand, but it's really important to put that into consideration.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, let's keep going. Other routes to consider.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, like I said, there's a lot of different things that go on behind the scenes as a business owner, and I'm sure everyone in here knows that. So these are just some like ones that I kind of threw out that really stand out for me going into 2022. So we already talked a little about inventory and logistics. 18% of businesses fail because of pricing issues. So, like Amanda mentioned earlier, if you can save by buying in bulk, that's going to decrease your cost of goods. So, you can actually get more product out there at the same price with a little bit better margins. Sometimes you can lower your price and be a little bit more competitive. Product R&D is also going to be super huge, super important. I know a lot of people really like to say it. They're sticking to their core products and they maybe offer, 4 or 5 ASINs. They don't want a ton of variety because they know and they do what they do very well. But at a certain point, you also have to step back and say, well, maybe it's time to launch a new product or experiment a little bit more. 7% of small businesses fail because they can't pivot, and 10% of them pivoted incorrectly. So again, you don't necessarily need to do this. It's something that you're going to have to weigh out case by case. But going into 2022, we're seeing that a lot more businesses are having to pivot a lot quicker. Also, really important to kind of break down your marketing and ad spend. Of course, a lot of Amazon businesses and stores, you guys don't have full marketing teams. You're not Nike, but you sell like Nike. You're honestly a lot of times working harder than them. So making sure that you're nailing down who you're working with third parties, or making sure that you're staying smart with your actual ad spend and where your money's going, very important. 14% of small businesses fail because of poor marketing skills. At the end of the day, not everyone who's actually selling on Amazon is a marketing genius. Sometimes you have a really great product and you know everything, but you got to kind of hand things off to some of those third parties. Being able to do that intelligently is really important. It's also really important to do your competitive research. I think a lot of people, will use tools. A lot of third-party software like Helium 10 is great at breaking down, what your competitors are doing, getting a better idea of the keywords and everything. And I apologize for the background noise; it's buzzing in my ear too. But it's really important to actually, do research on your competitors and what they're doing, because getting an idea of what everyone else, is doing, you don't necessarily want to copy them. You want to be, individualized. But if there's something they're doing that you're not, maybe there's a trend coming up and you can kind of foresee it before, or maybe just understanding that your market's saturated and going back to product R&D, knowing that it's time to kind of pivot to a new product or a new way of selling things. With all these routes, I also want to make sure, easy kind of thing to bring up. Sellers funding, we do offer full financing. So we're going to be able to do term loans. We're going to be able to do, all your working capital needs and everything. But we also really understand e-commerce. So if any of these bubbles, if you read this and you're kind of like, I don't really know where to start with this stuff, and you're working with sellers funding, reach out to us, talk to your account manager. We'll be able to get you in contact with people that can actually help hammer this down for you, people that are experts in all of these individual verticals and a lot more. It's just something that we can offer to you to help you grow. We'd rather put you in front of somebody that we know has a proven track record, proven results, a trusted partner in the space, to kind of keep them going. So I think it's one of the strengths of working with us is having access to a dedicated account manager that can help you make decisions and kind of, walk you through these processes, or maybe just help you figure it out on your own.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty great when you partner with people who care about your business and know about your business. But another point that I want to bring up before we move on from this slide, because I love this. I love the analogy that, you know, this business is operating like a tree, right? But something to consider as well is these roots are also going to translate into what the branches look like, right? The branches and the leaves. This is what the people see when you do your product R&D, and you're kind of recycling your product portfolio, and you're deciding which products are your high performers and which products are reaching the end of their life cycle. This is going to affect how your clients see your business. And the more you succeed, the more you're going to get the right real estate on Amazon, and the more that you're going to have to, pivot that business in the right way and not be that 10% that pivots incorrectly. Same with marketing and ad spend. This is a route that's going to keep your business in place, but it's also going to affect the way that your customers are going to see your business. So yes, a lot of the hard work that no one sees is underground and it's just you there, but it's going to affect big time what the people you want to work with and want to buy from you are going to see. So let's go ahead and
Yeah,
move
and
on.
sorry, I just really quickly wanted to throw it out there. If anyone's having questions about an example of pivoting your business, the best example is where you're selling right now. Amazon started off as a bookstore. Now you can buy pretty much everything online. So sometimes
Sure.
making those changes, is kind of where you want to be. But
Yeah.
here's a great case study for one of our actual customers. So Flower Ideas, they started selling in June 2020. They actually grew very rapidly. So from $500 to $53,000 in revenue in 3 months. By November, they were doing about $90,000 a month. Amazon kind of cracked down a little bit more, so they had to shift their model. They started off being mainly drop shipping and wholesale, so they actually managed to take the existing store and entity they had, and they switched over to be private label. So they took all of the actual strength, the capital that they were able to raise, along with a credit line from Sellers Funding in December, and they were able to actually increase their sales, launching new products to $133,000 a month. As soon as that started to iron out and they started seeing a little bit more consistency, they took advantage of our daily advance. So they were able to get their sales instead of bi-weekly every 2 weeks. They got their money, broken down every single day, individual payments, which enabled them to grow their ad spend, enabled them to get their inventory back in. So they were able to grow to $180,000 a month. Actually a massive increase just by taking money they already had, money that they already got from their sales, putting it back into their store. Then they were also able to take advantage of the business card and use that to actually shop internationally and get 1% cash back. So saving 1%, it's free money. Going back to kind of the theme of the webinar, all of your margins are going to kind of get crunched, squeezed. If you can get 1% actual savings on everything that you're spending, the business card is going to enable you to do that. And I think that can be huge for a lot of sellers. Flower Ideas was able to use that to actually shrink that total COGS and actually increase their revenue across the board.
That's huge. I mean, what more could you possibly want, right? Sellers funding high seller statistics. Ooh, this is a juicy slide. Love it. Eric, go ahead and give the good people the word.
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of numbers here, and you can obviously see as your actual seller volume increases. Really fun statistic. I can obviously read out every single number here and kind of give you the full breakdown. But the biggest trend of what you're going to see is that large sellers are generally taking advantage of larger draws of working capital. But the thing that's really surprising is their actual active loan days. So how long are they taking out this working capital loans for? And it's not because they're getting shorter terms than low sellers. Obviously, that wouldn't make sense. It's because they're actually paying off this working capital strategically and utilizing these actual draws periodically. So they're able to identify and see exactly when these moments are where maybe I can make a larger inventory purpose, or purchase, sorry, maybe I can actually increase the ad spend. My season's coming up. And I think that's kind of the big thing that differentiates high, medium, and low sellers is being able to take advantage of this. And I think that it's something that every seller can do, whether you're a low or a medium seller, basically being able to identify these trends. I think high sellers oftentimes just execute a little bit better on it. They're able to actually take advantage of it. They're a little bit less hesitant to use the money because, like I said, they're able to pay it off and then they're able to go and take out another draw. Whereas medium and low sellers like to draw out their agreements over the full term, which at the end of the day makes sense. Sometimes you're not able to pay it off, but in the cases where you are and you're able to pay it off and then take out another draw, you never know when that next opportunity is going to arise. High sellers tend to be a lot more versatile with their capital, and they tend to know when to actually pull it and use it. Something that's also super actually important to break down over all three of these is the percentage of growth that a lot of these sellers see. So the average seller's funding customer is seeing 6 times your growth of your average Amazon sellers. So whether you're a low, medium, or high seller, taking advantage of working capital, taking advantage of your daily advance, is actually going to enable you to grow. You just have to get a little bit more strategic with it, actually being able to utilize the capital throughout the year and identifying those key moments when you can actually execute on it. Something maybe your account manager or some of our providers can help you with would actually, grow. We have seller signals, which will give you a little bit more of a breakdown so you can get a full track record of your sales over a year or longer. And you can kind of see where these seasonality or season moments are. So taking an introspective look at your roots, looking at your supply chain, talking to your suppliers, and using these forecasting tools to actually see where that money is going to be best used is one of the ways that you can kind of break out of that shell and move up in those tiers from low, medium to high.
Yeah. And just to touch really quickly on this, for those of you who aren't familiar with Seller Signals yet, it's currently a free tool that we have on Sellers Funding on your dashboard. Essentially, it's going to give you all these data metrics from your business that are easy to digest and understand, puts it all in one place, easy to read for you guys, but it's not going to be free for long. So please make sure to take advantage of it while you can. There's a lot of good information that's going to help you get information like you're seeing here to know how to get to the next level for your business. All right, packing smaller, lighter, and smarter.
Yep. So I just want to recap the. Remember how we recognize that the king of all fees with Amazon FBA fees are the pick and pack fees, right? Every time Amazon picks it from the bin, packages it in a box and ships it out, they charge you a fee. So that fee is based on the weight and dimensions. So the larger and heavier the product is, the more you're gonna pay in fees. So that's an opportunity for us to step back and say, hey, if that's the name of the game, what can we do, right? So here's simple examples of a creative or doing something creative or simple can save you a lot of fees. So one seller might be sending an inflated ball when the other seller is sending a deflated ball. So you see the inflated ball might be $10 in fees because it's 30 inches in dimensions, but you deflate the ball like this nice gentleman, and now it's 5 inches, you might pay only $3. So the idea is if you are a private label seller and you can manufacture the product, you can just try to do as much as you can to make sure that the weight and dimensions of the product are at the very, very minimum. Okay, this is not like selling online and Amazon is not like brick and mortar. You don't need big, fancy, shiny packaging that pushes other products from the shelf and screams to the consumer. Right? Can you go to a store like Target or Walmart? You see all this, there's the whole battle on the shelf space, right? That's why you have big, nice, bulky packaging. You don't need that in e-commerce. Your shelf in e-commerce is your Amazon listing, the way you present it on the listing. That's how you communicate with the consumer. And once they buy it, you already made the sale. So a small, elegant packaging that doesn't cost a lot in fees will save you a fortune and will just boost your bottom line. So this is a simple, basic strategy that everybody here should have in mind, especially if you sell also to brick and mortar, but you're also selling online. You should consider having two different packaging. One for brick and mortar, where it's nice and shiny and beautiful and big, but for e-commerce, and especially selling on Amazon FBA, it's completely different because it's just it's a more sophisticated game, and generating the sale is on the listing side. It's not on the packaging side. So just for your awareness.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip. Thinking about two different types of packaging if you're selling in, brick and mortar versus on Amazon. That's probably not something that you think about like right off the cuff, so that's really helpful. So track your packaging dimensions. This is, on the same vein.
Yeah, same thing. So after you did everything you can to make sure that your products are on the lowest weight and dimension tier possible, right? That's just the beginning. Then afterwards, you got to make sure you keep tracking the fees that Amazon is charging you, because over time they might recalculate your weight and dimensions, and then it's going to start overcharging you. And how can this happen? I'll give two examples. One example is you're selling a handbag, and Amazon has this big machine called cubic scan machine. Every few weeks, they're going to scan your product in that machine. And if your product is like a handbag and has a strap that's hanging loose and adding another 30 inches, Amazon will recalculate the weight and dimensions and add more dimensions, and it's gonna basically charge you more fees. They're gonna increase your fees. So that's one reason why it can happen. So that being said, also make sure you shrink wrap everything. Make sure nothing's loose, because if something's loose in your packaging, it's gonna scan an Amazon's machines incorrectly. It's gonna and then they're gonna start overcharging you. The second example might be that you might be being attacked by a competitor, right? Amanda, you and I sell the same thing. I want to hurt you as a competitor. So what do? I take your ASIN, your product information. I go to my Sell Essential account and I add it to my inventory. I never sell it. I never really offer it. All I do is log it. I list it, but then I change the weight and dimensions. I change the data. I tell Amazon, oh, this product, instead of being 3 ounces, it's 300 pounds. And instead of being 3 inches, it's 30 inches, whatever it is. Amazon receives that data, recalculates the weight and dimension, and increases your fees. And then boom, you and I selling the same price point, competing for traffic and everything. I'm paying overpaying in fees. Sorry, I'm paying the right fees. You're overpaying fees. That's how I kind of silently kill you. You don't even realize that. So therefore, you got to be a professional seller. Be prudent. Make sure that at the very latest, you check your on the weight and dimension fees every 3 months, because that's the limit. Like I mentioned earlier, you can only go back 90 days. So make sure, if you got hurt in the past 90 days, you make sure you get the opportunity to get that money back. Because if it's gonna be after that, it's gonna be just too late, and you're just gonna be wasting money. So hopefully that's helpful as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. So, How can sellers ensure they keep most money in their accounts and alleviate these financial discrepancies? Refunds booster for Amazon.
You got it. So this is kind of a high-level statistics for you guys to consider on the auditing and discrepancy side. So the first point to make is that we find Getira's data, suggests that the discrepancy rate, all these errors that Amazon does with FBA, with your inventory, can equal between 1 to 3% from your annual sales. So if you're doing $1 million a year in Amazon FBA, a discrepancy rate of 1 to 3% could be 10 to 30,000. If you're doing 100 million, it could be 1 to 3 million. Another way to look at it is for every 100 units you ship to FBA, between 1 to 3 units is going to experience a difficulty or a discrepancy throughout the life cycle of the product with Amazon. So that's one, everybody here can do their own math. What does it mean to them in dollars, right? The second point to make, like we said, for the most part, Amazon gives up to 18 months to go back, a window to go back and get your reimbursement. So do not miss out. And the third point to make is that once you open a case, don't think you're done. If Amazon replies to you, needs more information or documentation, give it to them. Okay, so there's more handling involved than you might think. Let's move on to the next slide.
You got it.
And then, if you were kind of wondering what else is there, why you might potentially need help with Amazon FBA auditing, take a look. This is more stuff that we look into. So if anything here looks unfamiliar, it probably means that you're leaving money behind. We touched kind of the main points, but these are additional points just to show the level of complexity and the layers of intensity that this can get. All these weird variations. It's like the coronavirus. You got the one strain, and then you get all these variations, all these issues that happen. Same thing with FBA. You got kind of the basic things, and then all these variations that happen with discrepancies where you're eligible to get a reimbursement. So, so instead of kind of, we're here kind of to take the tears away, all the struggle of finding it and dealing with it. We can just come in, help you, and hopefully only for successful and getting money back in your pocket, we'll charge you a fee because it's free to join Getira and it's free to stay with Getira. We only charge a fee based on recovery. There's no
Right.
subscription or anything. So that's kind of the idea. Let's move on to the next slide.
Actually, before we jump over to the next slide, I think we have some time here to talk a little bit about um, are there any of these here, any of these reasons that, that there could be discrepancies that you see more of or that are more common or frequently missed?
Yeah. So the ones that are kind of the biggest and chunkiest and more common, that's what we did with the overview. So hopefully you
Mhm.
guys have the fundamentals. Let's put it this way. These are kind of more on the fringe side of things. That's what we listed them listed them there. But overall, I would say there's probably 30 plus kind of variations of things that you got to look into.
Sure.
But we definitely covered the main grounds here. So you guys are all set for that.
Great. So you mentioned that Gatita is free to join and free to stay with, and you guys only charge things when you help with recovery. And that's important to know for the viewers watching this because this is the key point that we made earlier that it's so important to partner with people who understand your business and who aren't trying to cannibalize your business with these hidden fees and secret scheming structures that, kind of make it hard to get ahead. And so partnering with the right people is really going to help you scale. So that's great. I mean, you can't go further than that when you're taking care of your clients.
Yeah, this is additional stuff that we're looking to. You can just move to the next slide. That's kind of the summary there. We can move on to the next
Sure.
because I think we have a case study coming up. Yep, we
Oh,
do. Here it
great.
is. Yeah. Okay, so here I want to kind of take a moment to do the last case study for today to show you the positive impacts of successful auditing. Okay, so here we have a yearly revenue of $18 million, a seller that does about 18 million, and then they sold throughout the year about 300,000 units. Out of these 300,000 units, about 9,000 units got affected. You see, 8,954 units got affected. They got lost, damaged, destroyed, all these wacky things, which puts it at the higher edge of the spectrum. It's a 2.8% discrepancy rate. And with Getito, we helped recover $151,000 back with reimbursements, which pushed the bottom line, right, the profits by almost 11%. You see, it was 10.92. Why? Because before Getito, the profit was 1.3 million. You see, the gross profit before Getito was 1.3 million. Then reimbursed Getito claims added 151,000. So the new profit was 1.5 million. So see the discrepancy rate of 2.8%. Once recovered, it gave an impact of almost 11% onto the bottom line. So that's kind of the drill down, right? Eric, we got some drills going on today. So this is a drill down of the positive impact of getting everything that you kind of owed and how it pushes the bottom line. But I want to take you guys onto the left side here on this area here. See, it says Amazon.com. There's more impact if you're trying to sell your Amazon business or if you're trying to buy an Amazon business. And how? If you're selling an Amazon business, whoever's buying your business is buying your profit. and they're paying you a multiple on that profit. So if you make $1 in profit and you get a 5x multiple, they're going to pay you $5 for your business, right? So for example, this $151,000, if you're going to get a 5x multiple or more, all of a sudden it's much more impactful. You're going to get $750,000 on your way out because of these reimbursements that were added to your bottom line. So auditing and getting all the reimbursements that you're eligible to receive are the surest, fastest, and safest ways to maximize your exit, your impact on your exit. So every dollar you get in reimbursements that adds to your bottom line is worth $5, $6, $7 or more. That depends already on your negotiation skills once you sell the business. That's on one side. On the other side, if you bought an Amazon business, Amanda, you sold me your Amazon business. I'm going to go back 18 months in your data and I'm going to get $151,000 back that you left behind. That's very impactful. So all of a sudden, my investment is much better. I have a better
Mhm.
ROI, return on investment. So that's kind of a sophisticated case study for you guys to understand that when it comes to auditing and accounting and finance, this is one of the most sophisticated things that you can do to positively impact your bottom line. There's no cost attached. It's pure juice. It's money you never expected to have in the first place. So it just comes in and you have a better cash flow. Hopefully that will help you alleviate, if you need financing, right? If you need financing, you might pay a little bit of interest. Boom! All of a sudden, this money helps you to pay for that. You have a better cash flow, so you're able to have a better liquidity. That's awesome, right? Or you have even enough money to cover your the interest payments, or your money you're getting from the financing company is free, right? Because you're able to get all those recoveries, and then you have even extra cash to invest more into the PPC, which is also a margin eater, so to speak. So that kind of can create the perfect storm if you know everything that's available for you out there in terms of auditing, reimbursements, and funding.
All I'm hearing here is that it's so easy to leave money on the table. And it could make or break you, right? If you're not paying close attention to what you're owed and what you're entitled to, forget about it. This is money that you walk away from. Okay, this is super exciting stuff. We love free stuff. We love special offers. We were excited about the shipping cost index that we talked about earlier as a free tool, but here we've got something else super exciting, Yoni.
Yeah, so we prepared, for sales funding, I guess followers and clients, a special offer here. It's free to join Gatira, but in addition to all that, if you just use this promo code SFund 1000 or just visit gatira.com/seller funding, you'll get $1,000 offer where we're gonna get you $1,000 in reimbursement free of charge. We're not gonna charge you a penny, and after $1,000, if you want to leave, you can leave. If you want to stay, you can stay. But hopefully, you have another $1,000 more in your pocket. You clipping this offer. Yeah, we're just here to help, making sure that everything that's owed to you, we'll help you get that. Only if we're successful, we get paid. In addition to that, at least here we're gonna get you guys $1,000, kind of guaranteed. So to give you a nice push into to improving your profit margins and helping you with the liquidity a little bit.
Great. And is this only eligible for new clients?
If you're already a Gatira client, you're already enjoying all the benefits. If you need extra juice to help, let me know. But if you are kind of a sales funding follower or customer, you never use it. This is kind of a special offer we were presenting here. So hopefully that's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Just wanted to confirm. Um, okay, more free tools. We love free tools. Let's hear about them.
Okay, so this one's it's a package of tools, or kind of three things you get. So if you just visit getita.com/ebook, you're gonna get a package of three things. The first thing is an ebook about how to read an Amazon income statement. You should probably be familiar with how all the money that's coming in and all the money that's coming out to you. So all the fees involved with the income statement. You should also probably maybe give it to your bookkeeper or your accountant so they know what's going on because Amazon's data is very hazy. So this hopefully will make some sense of it all. The second thing is a profit and loss template, right? So you can really have all your business cost structures there, so you know if you're making a profit or a loss. And then the third thing is the weight and dimension tracker. It's an Excel file where you can be able to track and monitor the weight and dimensions of your products to see if Amazon's overcharging you at some point. Remember how we touched that earlier? So this is a tool you can use just to keep a track of all the weight and dimensions to make sure that if you got overcharged, you can take action immediately.
That's great. I mean, this is more ways to avoid leaving that money on the table. I'm going to go ahead and I'm dropping in every link that we're seeing throughout this presentation into the chat so you guys can access it very quickly. Oh, thanks, Dan. It looks like one of our viewers dropped in the seller's funding link. I'm also going to drop in the link for the ebook, the Gatita ebook. Guys, make sure to use these tools. It is so important to utilize the information that you have because that's the way that you guys can really get ahead. Um, so Thank you so much. I have another free exciting thing for you guys. So, on the vein of ebooks, a super surprise for you guys, we will be sending out also an ebook from Sellers Funding that outlines really how to scale your business using working capital funding. So, we want to give you the tools that you need to succeed. As Yoni mentioned, as Eric talked about, here we are to help you guys. We're so happy you joined us today. When is the next seminar? Okay, so we're going to have another webinar, I believe, on February 17th. So almost a month from now. Super excited to talk about that. So that's some secret info that we haven't announced yet, but keep your eyes peeled for that. Thank you guys for joining. There's a lot of great feedback here. February 24th. I was corrected. Perfect. Thanks, team. Um, so I wanted to take a moment to thank Yoni for joining us today. You had such great information for our viewers. Eric, you did a great job. I want to thank our viewers as well. You guys were really active in the chat today. Eric and Yoni, you got really nice compliments here. This was a very informative chat. So before I leave you guys today, just want to say thank you so much. I hope you like the information. We're looking forward to doing this again. Yoni, hopefully we can do this again with you soon.
With pleasure.
And again, before I close the event, I want everybody to take a peek at the chat. Make sure you get all those important links out of there. Um, all the information you need, either screenshot it, click it, bookmark it, do what you need. Any last minute questions, we're here for you. If not, thank you so, so much. It was a pleasure, and we're excited to do this again soon. So have a great day, everybody.
Have a good one,
Take care,
guys.
everybody. Bye bye.